to the outside, going down to his lops. He'd make his way around the outside. Callum Voisin would run a little bit wide in that 35 car, straight into the side of the 32, and that was Alex Connor pushed to the side. Trevor Carlin looking on, did not like that one bit. Tommy Smith was trying to keep the number 4 of Bryce Aaron at bay, but he'd run wide into the island corner and just running a Charles corner rather, and then just up the track a little bit. That would allow the number 4 high-tech Grand Prix car to make the position. A superb move, taking advantage of other drivers' mistakes. There was not a lack of battles around the circuit. Tom Leben making a couple of moves. It was a dominant performance though thus far from Luke Browning, running away at the front of the field. Starting from pole position, of course, the Cheshire-based driver for High-Tech Grand Prix, doing the work, had pole position in the first race, started from pole as well in the second race of the weekend. Absolutely dominant throughout the first running, leading by about 8 or 9 seconds. Of course, the battle for second position was between Roberto Farrier in the number 7 car and the number 53 of Matthew Rees, the Welshman, the British Formula 4 champion of the previous year, attacking, trying to find a way through, trying to find any opportunity to pass the Carlin that was left at the front of the field after his teammates had issues. The number 7 car was looking strong, defensive. All he had to do was keep it on the road throughout the running of the last couple of laps, and the final lap would prove to be a pressure-filled one. Of course, Matthew Rees not letting up at any moment. The Welshman looking not only for his first podium, but would fancy a second position to open up his account in the GB3 Championship. Still no opportunity though, as they were approaching down into the final couple of sectors. Roberto Farrier was just driving a perfect race thus far, just to try and secure a second position. Of course, plenty of experience in Roberto Farrier's camp, having a couple of seasons in the GB3 Championship. Luke Browning though was coming down towards the final corners, running through Druids down towards Lodge in a dominant performance, has won in the GB3 Championship in the previous year, doing a one-off round here at Oulton Park, and his home circuit that he likes so much. It was victorious once again to open his account for the 2022 GB3 Championship, a win at Oulton Park, and by a long margin. Over 10 seconds we'd have to wait before Roberto Farrier and Matthew Rees would cross the line to take home second and third, and then it was Mackenzie Cresswell in fourth. Joel Granforth having issues on the final lap, dropping outside of the top 5. The second race though would see Granforth back on the front row of the grid. However, it wouldn't last long. Roberto Farrier with a much better launch from that third spot. He'd be along down the inside into turn 1, and he would take over that second spot for the second consecutive race. Tom Leben trying to make it through wide, going down into the first corner as well. He'd have to worry about Mackenzie Cresswell going through the second couple of corners. They roll through Cascades. It was a little bit of a wide run from Marcus Flack as he'd go right up on the Shell Oils hairpin, as James Headley would defend from Callum Voisin. Mackenzie Cresswell making up another position. Javier Segura this time, as Kean Shields would have issues at the start of the race and would be sent back to the pit lane. Alex Connor with an absolute send down the inside on Marcus Flack. A brilliant move, as of course the high-tech Grand Prix car Bryce Aaron would make one on David Morales, making a little bit of contact on the departure of the corner. The two Americans just pushing each other to their very limits here at Oulton Park. Alex Connor was trying to make some moves, but in the background of that was Marcus Flack pushing Bryce Aaron just a little bit wide, going out onto the backstretch. Brilliant move here from Brandon Oxley, at least that's what it was trying to be. Unfortunately, pushed out a little bit too far wide. The floor on that car was very heavily damaged, and the team would have a lot of work to do in CDR between race 2 and race 3. Of course, a dominant display once again from Luke Browning. It was Roberto Farrier who joined him on the podium for the second consecutive race, and this time Joel Granforth was also greeting him on the podium. The third race, and a 19-car reverse grid at Oulton Park, and it was Grundtvig starting from the pole position. Jilks just trying to keep the number 6 at bay of Kean Shields as they were running into turn 1. Of course, it was Tommy Smith in second position. Absolute chaos this race. Carnage, of course, when a 19-car reverse grid. David Morales instantly trying to find his way onto the podium, but there was no way to make that one stick. Of course, the two Douglas Motorsports cars, Marcus Flack and Max Esterson, going side by side. A little bit of contact between the two teammates for the second consecutive race. The number 11 was pushed wide. Brandon Oxley was trying to make a move on Zach Taylor, but was pushed onto the grass. He'd somehow still managed to keep it on the road, at least to some degree, to keep alongside in the run down into Hislops. No way to pass, as Zach Taylor very aggressive on the defence. In the head of shot here, you've also got the contact between Tom Leben and Luke Browning, just a touch between the two of them. That would send Tom Leben across the escape road, and it would send Luke Browning out of the race. Tom Leben would receive a penalty for such a move. A great move though from Brandon Oxley, of course, firing his way up the order after the issues in the previous race with the damaged floor, clearly working absolutely fine. And then we got this move, probably move of the weekend. David Morales around the outside of Nick Gilks. Somehow, neither of them made contact. Absolutely superb through the island corner. A bit of a lock-up coming down into the Shell Oils hairpin, but that was the move done. David Morales up into third position and onto the podium, and the number 77 Arden car. More contact as Mackenzie Cresswell was sent off by Javier Segura down into Hislop. Just in that one a couple of times as Marcus Black would have further issues throughout the running of the race, being pushed out a little bit wide by his own, kind of eyeing up a bit too much. Mikael Grundtvig though, final corner, and yet another win in the GB3 Championship. It was his third in total, and it was a dominant performance in the reverse grid race. Behind him though, very popular podium as well, was Tommy Smith would cross the line. David Morales, after that fantastic move, would take third position just ahead of the hill speed of Nick Gilks. Absolutely superb performance from most of this grid over this running at Oulton Park. It was brilliant and a well-deserved victory in Mikael Grundtvig.
So a pretty good opening weekend for our championship leader, Luke Browning, driving with High-Tech. Didn't quite go so well in that third race. We did talk to you afterwards. We didn't quite see it there, but you weren't so happy with that collision with... who was it with, actually? I can't remember. Tom Leben?
Yeah, it was with Leben.
Have you managed to have a chat with Tom since?
We've spoken about it. Yeah, no, it's all resolved now, and yeah, it's resolved in the clerk's office, so everything being well now going into Silverstone.
Now, going into the second round as the championship leader, do you feel any added pressure, or are you still able to just do your job, get your head down and get on with it?
No, not at all. It's nice to know, that we're at the front and that's where we should be. It's just all going to be about keeping the pressure on and just continuing solid points. It's not every weekend's going to be like that. So it's on the weekends that aren't going to be so straightforward that you'll win the championship.
Now, we know this track at Silverstone you've driven around before in the shorter version. This is the full GP track. How has it been in testing, and how's it sort of feeling in the car?
Yeah, it's a quick track. It really is. Like Maggotts and Beckett's is incredibly quick now. I'm not sure what the minimum speed is, but it really feels like you're doing something through there. And yeah, no, it's a lovely place to be. It's obviously one of the GP tracks that F1 come to, and hopefully it's something I'll be revisiting in the future.
Okay, well, while it's Luke's first time driving this track, a lot of the other drivers are driving this track for the very first time as well. So let's find out a bit more about this GP track here at Silverstone.
Let's take a look at the venue then. We are racing this weekend as we head to Northamptonshire, to one of the most legendary circuits in the United Kingdom. It is, of course, Silverstone, a fantastic venue for any style of racing. If it can be raced, it will be raced around here. A circuit which opened back in 1948. So much history around here. Of course, one of those circuits that was built for an old-fashioned RAF airfield. The length of 3.6 miles, roughly 5.9 kilometres, with so many twists and turns over the three sectors. Iconic is a word which would be associated with such a venue. Over the 18 corners, of course, fantastic ones like Maggotts, Beckett's and Chapel, overtaking opportunities into the likes of Copse and Stowe with their high-speed commitment, and then, of course, that fantastic section that was built back in the early 2010s where you go through farm, into village, into the loop, and of course that entrance into Brooklands, absolutely superb. And now we'll go to Piers for a lap around Silverstone.
And here we ride with Javier Segura on a flying lap around here at Silverstone Circuit. Completely flat and qualifying to turn one at Copse here. Mind the track limits on the exit because they will delete your time. Now coming to the world famous Maggotts Beckett section. Keep it left up here on the curve to open up the right to allow the speed through the middle of the Maggotts and Beckett section. Keep it left for the exit onto Hanger Straight. Mind the curve because it can unsettle the car. Now we've got a moment down the 780 metre straight towards Copse Corner. Take a couple of deep breaths. Think about how fast we're going to go through the next corner. This is obviously a main overtaking opportunity during the races. So down just one gear here, barely rubbing the brakes. Apex speed of 100 miles an hour, fifth gear. Again, watching track limits on the exit because they will penalise for abuse there. Now at a big braking point of the circuit here, into Vale. Nice and tight on that curve. Keep it left for the exit of Club as the exit drops away. Mind the oversteer and obviously then past the main wing building. Another overtaking opportunity in the race coming up here. We're going to be completely flat through Abbey and Farm here. 140 miles an hour top speed. Just open the steering to keep the speed through the car and then concentrate on the wide open braking for the village section. Awkward here in the car, can sometimes get a bit of over rotation. Don't need to use all the circuit for the loop. Traction is very, very important here, so making sure we get a great exit. Mind the curb because it can pull you off the circuit there. Now the long run down into the final section, the Brooklands under the bridge. keeping it right. You'll notice that he takes 2 wheels on the curb to open up the entry, braking nice and softly just after the board. Watch the rear as we touch the curb slightly off camber here, and then fire it into the final corner at Luffield. Again, traction very important here. Don't run wide. The gravel's right up by the exit. And then the final run to the straight. And that is our lap of Silverstone Circuit. What a lap it is, and a great opportunity to show the speed of these cars.
So that's what it's like to go around Silverstone from the perspective of a GB3 driver. The qualification took place earlier, and the man on pole position for both of those races is Swedish driver Jörg Granfors in Vortec. A very good qualification for you.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've been pretty strong this whole weekend. So I wasn't too surprised when I got pole, but there was a pretty big difference, like 3/10 or something to P2. So it's going to be interesting in the races.
You've been showing some exceptional pace. You must be pleased with the car that Vortec have provided.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they've done a great job. I think we're looking stronger in race pace than quali pace, if I'm going to be honest. So hopefully we can just get a good start off the line and build the gap, because slipstream is pretty good around here. There's a lot of time to be gained. So hopefully we can just pull away like 1 or 2 seconds and then just stay at that advantage.
And looking towards the end of the weekend, where are you hoping to be in that championship table?
Hopefully P1, of course. That's the goal. So, but yeah, realistically I think we can at least top 3. I think it's going to be super tight in the top. So yeah, we'll see.
Okay, well, you've got Tom Leben behind in the Elite Motorsports car. He's in P2 for both of those races. I chatted to him and some of the other drivers earlier after qualifying. Tom Leben starting P2 for both races, the first 2 races of this weekend in the Elite Motorsports car. You must be pretty happy with that?
Yeah, it's really good to be honest. Best result for me and the team so far in British F3 and GB3 this year, and last year in fact. But yeah, good result, and yeah, looking forward to race 1.
What do you think's clicking for you here at Silverstone?
I don't know, I think the car suits the track definitely, and I think my driving style suits the track as well.
A lot of the drivers have been saying it's pretty quick here at Silverstone. Is that the biggest thing you've got to contend with, the speed of those corners, or are there any other issues we should know about?
It's very difficult around here, obviously, because it's so fast, and if you make a minor error, the consequences are going to be quite big. But also the wind's quite significant around here, with it being so open, old airfield. So yeah, the wind's definitely a big one.
Now with John Bennett in 3rd in the championship, you must be aiming to hopefully get up near him and maybe surpass him this weekend at Silverstone.
Yeah, that's definitely the aim. We had a few bad results at Oulton Park, but the aim is definitely to go forward. At this point, I'm not really focusing on championship, just want to get good results and learn, really.
Okay. Alex, 13th for this first race, 12th for the second race tomorrow. How are you feeling after that qualification?
A bit disappointed, really. I think, you know, we probably should have been top 5, top 3, but obviously missing Thursday because of exams, I missed out on quite crucial track time, and I think helped finding that right setup in the car. But it is what it is, and yeah, try go forwards from there.
John Bennett, you start 8th today and 9th tomorrow. Are you happy with that qualifying?
Yeah, it's okay. Qualified 9th at Oulton, then 8th today, so a bit of an improvement. It's just really close in quali. I think 3/10 would have put me P3, so I can definitely race from there. A couple mistakes on my lap. The wind caused a massive oversteer throughout. Yeah, I think 8th. It's okay. I can definitely put forward an exciting race thing.
And 3rd in the championship. How are you hoping this weekend will end? Do you want to be better than 3rd?
Yeah, well, I think if I can keep my position for my first year, it would be amazing. Just looking for 3 solid points finishes, really. And yeah, try to consolidate my position and yeah, move on from there. Keep improving.
Good. Well, I'm here in the assembly area. The cars have just gone out there. We're speaking with John Bennett starting.
Okay, don't worry. I'll wait, don't worry.
Well, we'll catch up with John a bit later on, I think, as we've got ourselves a nice little race here to go. The GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, round number 4. And what a qualifying session it was. We managed to have a little watch above Brooklyn, seeing them go through. Such a fantastic car to race around here, isn't it?
Oh, honestly, Silverstone GP circuit, one of the highlights of the year to race on. Obviously, the circuit that we raced at the British Grand Prix, these cars really, really do sing around this track. The downforce, the speed, it's all about keeping that speed up. The average speed over 110 miles an hour, I believe, in qualifying.
Just absolutely insanely fast. I mean, you've thrown a car around here, you know how quick it is. It is a brutally fast circuit.
It is unrelenting. It does. I almost liken it to the way it's the smooth, long corners, fast straights. It kind of feels like you're flying a plane around this circuit. It's so smooth, and you know, it really is a pleasure to drive cars like this around here. And then also the fact that we're going so fast, the long straights, hopefully produce some great racing throughout this weekend.
Well, you can see them getting then underway for the formation lap as they'll run their way around the 5.9 kilometre circuit. Qualifying again done, it's completed, sets the grid not only for the first race but also for the second one. The first race here, it is Joel Granfors on pole position, did catch up with him rolling into the qualifying session, or into the race session. Of course, Tom Levin alongside on that front row of the grid. A fantastic session from the number 34 Elite Motorsports. Luke Browning, championship leader and two-time race winner of the 2022 championship, starts from third position. Roberto Faria alongside in the front row, same as they were on the front row in the first race of the season. James Headley will start from fifth, looked great in practice. This time though, not qualifying where he exactly wanted. Max Esterson from sixth, a great qualifying session for the Douglas Motorsports American there. Matthew Rees, of course the British Formula 4 champion, starts from seventh place with John Bennett alongside. Said he was actually okay with his qualifying despite not going quite as strong as he did last round out on Park. Mackenzie Cresswell starts from ninth position with Callum Voisin after the issues they had running through in the previous round at Oulton Park. Carlin, I think they just want to get some good results onto the board. 10th position, Voisin will start. 11th position, just ahead of his teammate Javier Segura, and then Brandon Oxley starts from 12th. There's not going to be any floor damage on the 68 this round, and then Alex Connor, and then Mikael Grundvig, of course, race winner back at Oulton Park in that all-important third race. We'll see what he can do from 14th position on the grid. Bryce Aaron in the number 4 High Tech alongside Zach Taylor, who made some fantastic progress. Went from 14th or 13th to 7th back in Oulton Park in 2 laps. We'll see what he can do today. Nick Jilk starts from 17th position with Tommy Smith alongside in 18th, and then the final row of the grid, 19th and 20th, it's Kean Shields and David Morales. 20 cars here today. We are obviously missing Marcus Flack, who was here at Oulton Park, but obviously not here, so 20 cars, it's more than enough for entertainment around here.
It'll be a great race, I'm sure of it. Obviously the drivers making sure that they've got the temperature in their tyres. It's a long lap round here, 5.9 kilometres, so plenty of time to warm up their tyres on the formation lap. We can see that some of the drivers have already opted to take some of their new tyres available to them. Obviously that will make a difference on the tyre warming, but hopefully should give them a bit of an advantage starting this race in the first couple of laps. I believe you've got a list of drivers we think.
Yeah, so obviously they've got 2 sets of tyres. We saw them sort of changing something in practice or in qualifying. What we have is we half sets, so some have taken just 2 tyres. Max Esterson, John Bennett, Callum Voisin, Javier Segura and Tommy Smith all taking 2 tyres just to gain some sort of an advantage in this race.
Yeah, we can see the drivers working really hard to get some temperature in those rear tyres there. We just had a shot of Luke Browning really giving us some nice 11s on the circuit there. Obviously plenty of power on these new cars with the new upgrades this year, 250 horsepower, obviously with the extra aero as well. So, you know, these cars are very, very fast around here. As I mentioned, I think it's just over 110 mile an hour average speed in qualifying, which is quite ridiculous when you think about it.
It's insane. It's absolutely crazy, and it's going to be a great race. Of course, a maximum of 20 minutes, 10 laps we'll put onto the board, and we'll see what they can muster as we get ourselves ready for yet another race. The next chapter in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC in the commentary booth, just to make sure that you all know who we are. Lewis McGlade, Piers Pryor alongside. This is going to be fantastic. I cannot wait. Let's see what we get here at Silverstone. The first race of the weekend for us here in GB3, about to get underway. Joel Granfors on the pole position. It's the laps onto the board, 14 of them, and we are underway. The 50 leads the way on the right hand side from pole position and cleanly into turn 1. Luke Browning with a great launch up into second position. He's trying to attack for it as there could be a bit of contact there. I think that's James Headley being pushed off a little bit by Roberto Faria. It's still Joel Granfors then leading the number 34 of Leben. Then it's Luke Browning. Then it's the number 42 of Max Esterson. Great launch, a little bit of contact with Brandon Oxley and John Bennett on the exit of Chapel. Fantastic scenes, a bit of side-by-side in there, crazy stuff.
Side-by-side on the first lap through Maggots and Beckett's chicane. Obviously that is a very, very fast section of the circuit. Luke Browning right under the rear wheel there of Tom Leben, and the move And he's just chopped his nose off there. That's still side by side going into Vale, which is one of the main overtaking opportunities. Probably one of the slowest corners on the circuit. You can see him looking on the outside now. Can he make it stick around the outside? That's going to be a great move if he can get that done. That's an excellent move from Luke Browning. And then Tom Leben looking for the cutback there. And is that Max Esterson?
Whoa!
One off.
Well, that's Reese, Matthew Reese in the JHR Developments car going way wide. That is surely going to hurt a little bit as Luke Browning now is going to defend up towards Abbey, just holding that inside line flat on the run through there. Obviously got to watch out for Leben. Max Esterson with a great start as well. Said he got up in the 4th position. He's not satisfied with that. Had a bit of disappointment back in Oulton Park. Now he fancies himself his first podium in the GB3 Championship. That'd be a fantastic move. He's got to do it though, potentially down even into Brooklands as Ferrier down the inside of Headley.
Obviously the width of the circuit here at Silverstone lends itself towards sort of side-by-side racing, and also that new section in the village and the loop. You can go inside, you can go outside, as we can see some people trying to break the toe in the background. That's Callum Voisin, I believe.
Certainly is. Matthew Reese is obviously on the comeback charge, just going around the outside. Not sure he was going to be able to fancy that. You can do a move around the outside there though, surely.
Absolutely, as I mentioned, with Silverstone being such a wide circuit, you've got lots of corners right then left. Is this section here, Brooklands and Luffield. You can either go on the inside of Brooklands and try and cut the driver off for Luffield, or potentially, if they're defending, go right around the outside, which puts you in the prime position for the last corner. As you can see, we've got Joel Granforth has run away with this, with the fighting behind. That's exactly what he said he wanted to do in the interview we saw before the race.
Yeah, it certainly was. Nick Gilks getting a little bit of a dive down the inside. It was Bryce Aaron trying to make it. Kean Shields also trying to make a little bit of progress as well. There's Matthew Reese. It's Javier Segura. It's Maggots, Beckers and Chappell, and Segura's gone for it. He's down the inside. That's brilliant racing. The number 31 Carlin up the position. That was superb.
I thought that was going to end in tears. You saw my hands go up on my head there. I thought there was going to be contact, and that's somewhere you do not want to be having contact. Look how close the racing is. This slipstream obviously playing a big part of this race. Is Reese going to look for a dive up the inside into Stowe? He's defending. That's a great move from Reese there, sending it up the inside, but can Segura hold it around the outside? Reese giving him a squeeze. Again, you've got that run off to work there. That's great racing, as close as you like.
Superb stuff. It's all for 11th position. Alex Connor obviously involved in the mix as Zach Taylor, also for the Fortec car in the background, the blue with the yellow highlights. That is of course Javier Segura, that we saw only for a lap or two in the first, or just a lap rather, in the first race of the season. Now having to defend from Matthew Reese in that grey car. I mean, superb little bit of racing between the two of them. Great respect, but really hard fighting.
Hard but fair racing. We can see who's
Headley.
Headley going up the inside of Max Esterson. Obviously, again, this side by side with it going right and then left, and so much space. There's so many options. And then Headley looking for the cut back on Esterson. Is he going to quite get the overlap? Not quite. Right up underneath the diffuser, that car in front. Watch his front wing there. Could get some damage. No, he's managed to. Yeah. Honestly, that front wing sticks out a long way, and you nick that, especially on such a high-speed circuit. Looks like is that a bit of damage on the floor, on the end plate there? Not quite. As we said, that outside line into Luffield, Brooklands, and then that gives you the inside into Luffield. But it looks like Esther's just squeezed in wide there. Again, awesome racing all the way through the fields here. So close.
Yeah, superb stuff. Bennett's also got past Farrier as well, so he's up now into 6th position as we complete the second lap of running here in the GB3 Championship at Silverstone. Joel Granforth's well in control at the moment, though. Our focus, though, just a little bit further down the order. Obviously, the battle for 4th position. Esterson, Headley. There's a slow Carlin car. That's Javier Segura. Javier Segura with issues on the start-finish straight. He is dropping backwards.
Has there been contact there, do you reckon, in the last sector potentially? Because it was close. He was working very close there with Reese, wasn't he, before? We might have missed that. Hopefully, we get a replay of that to see what's happened, or maybe it'll be a mechanical. But looks like the field's starting to spread out a bit now. Everyone's settling into their race after the first couple of laps. Those two Chris Tippman racing cars, they're Oxley and Cresswell, obviously working well together. And then look at this gap. Granforth, 1.7 seconds. Almost exactly what he said he wanted to do before that. Here we go, and we've got that's Voisin now having a look at Cresswell, I believe.
Certainly is. They're going around the outside of Stowe, though. It's not really the greatest one, but it's more so setting up the move, though, down into the Vale chicane, though, isn't it?
Yeah, Cresswell defending again. He knows that obviously Voisin could send it up the inside, but we saw that excellent move from Browning around the outside on the first lap there. Yeah, that looks like Segura's broken down, unfortunately. Doesn't look like there's any contact damage there, so potentially a mechanical, but we'll confirm on that as we get more information.
Yeah, not 100% sure, but either way, I don't think he'll be particularly pleased, though. It's the second consecutive round one, or race one of a weekend that he has been forced to the sidelines. The first one, though, you could really argue was of his own doing. That one, I am not so sure it was. That's a bit of a shame. But either way, you've got to take those and move on. Thankfully, race 2 is back on a qualifying format, so we're all right.
So he'll still have an opportunity to have a good race in race 2 from his qualifying position, which wasn't too bad. And now we can see everyone just settling a little bit. It will now be a case of one, obviously trying to catch the car in front, but also not doing too much damage to your tyres. As we see the two elite cars working, or trying to, well, I say working together, it looks like they're working against each other actually, if I'm honest. But they've had some really good pace this weekend, shown a bit more speed than they had potentially at Oulton Park, with obviously Leban on the front row, and then Headley was looking excellent in practice. Didn't quite put it together in qualifying, but now they're racing together. That's John Bennett actually, I believe, isn't it? Sorry, that's my mistake. No,
it's Headley with Bennett directly behind. But you're absolutely right. Headley looks so impressive in practice. Unfortunately, didn't get the qualifying lap just right, but either way, is what it is. Yeah, I was going to say this on the previous lap. It was also a fastest lap of the race from Luke Browning. He's closed in 2/10 over the previous 2 laps to close down the gap. Obviously, around about half a second of that. It's not coming down enough for him to do anything. But the closer you get, the more of that slipstream you get. Obviously, you get a bit dirty air as well. But it will just help you prolong and target fixation as well.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, with when you get the closer you get to the cars in front, you lose a bit of that front downforce. You get a bit of push understeer. But with the straights being so long here at Silverstone, you do go faster around the lap with a bit of a toe. So Luke Browning, if he can get within about a second, he'll then start to suck onto the back of Joel Grandfuss, and obviously that would be great to see if them go at it at the end of the race, because they've basically been the 2 fastest drivers, they've been 2 of the fastest drivers this season, and to see them go at that, that would be great towards the end of the race. We're still at the 2 elite cars here, John Bennett and James Headley, obviously working trying to see who's the second of the 3 elite cars, and then that's behind is. My brain has gone completely blank. Yes, Roberto Faria is trying to chase them down as well and trying to make some positions up. He's I think he's gone backwards slightly since the start. He qualified a bit higher than he is now, so maybe his start wasn't, his first lap wasn't the best.
And this is down now for 8th position. Oxley, of course, in the 68. Chris Dittman racing car just ahead of his teammate Mackenzie Cresswell, but they've got to worry about a different Carlin car that is on the prowl of Callum Voisin, who's just inside the top 10. Matthew Rees also closing in. This is Joel Grandfuss, though, your race leader, the number 50, the Fortec Racing Machine, well in control right now. Not quite to the dominant level of display that we saw from, of course, his teammate Mikael Grumvig in the final race, Oulton Park, or, of course, those 2 opening races from Luke Browning. But this is that pace that we kind of expect to see. We missed out on it, obviously, race 1 of the season. There was a 5-place grid drop sat on Grandfuss, who qualified in 2nd position in both race 1 and race 2. He didn't really make the most of the weekend. Now we're seeing what pace we've got.
Yeah, and Grandfuss, again, that lap setting a fastest lap of the race, just pulling about a half a tenth or a tenth over Luke Browning. So they're lapping at very similar pace. They'll be pushing very hard. It'll be interesting to see if the cars wear their tyres differently throughout this race, if maybe one of them pulls away from the other, or if the gaps close up. Tom Leban, again, having great pace there as well, hanging on to the back just about. Max Esterson also having an excellent race here. This is about the best race he's had so far this season. Obviously, Oulton Park wasn't quite so high up, but he's obviously showing his speed here. And again, that blue livery on those Douglas cars, I'm a big fan of those. Obviously sponsored by iRacing. He does quite a lot of sim racing himself, so I'm sure we'll have been doing some practice in the sim before this week.
Probably, fair amount. I was going to say this. Obviously, we had last round, there was a bit of contact in the very first race between Callum Voisin and Alex Connor, and I said before, like, I was watching some iRacing, some online racing a bit earlier in the week, and who was battling at the front end of the field? It was Callum Voisin and Alex Connor, so clearly they're a bit of mates off the track as well. Why not?
Yeah, exactly, getting the racing practice in on the sim so that you can put it out and practice it in real life. But yeah, halfway through the race now, so it's pretty much as I said, halfway through, so they're thinking about towards the end of the race now. Again, everything settles down a little bit, but I'm sure that it will come together again at the end of the race with some more moves. Again, consistency for the championship.
Yes.
Those guys at the front will be wanting to have nice, consistent races to then obviously rack up those points. You can see those cars going right up to the edge of the curb there. You have to be very careful there because that curb is raised, and then off the back is a bit of a drop, so these cars will bottom out on there. So, you know, they have to be very careful with that. And they also, track limits is definitely something they'll be thinking of. If you push too hard, exit of Stowe, exit of Cops as well, there'll be cameras or marshals taking notes of any drivers that are running wide too many times, and they will be getting time penalties if that happens too much. We see some in quali, we saw some drivers get some lap times deleted as well.
Yeah, we certainly did, and it was quite a long list as well. A couple of drivers actually got 3 or 4 laps removed from the qualifying session. This is back down the order though. For the number 4, of course, Bryce Aaron, 15th place. Gruntvig, Jilks, Shields as well, sort of involved in the mix, just not really fully a part of that battle. But still, all of these positions, they are points-paying positions, so you've kind of got to get on with it. The top 20 score points, obviously got 20 cars, so everyone does.
Yep, every point matters. We saw one of the cars go wide there again. That's obviously, they need to be watching how many times they're doing that. What was the last lap? Browning a bit faster. They're trading fastest laps, the first 2 cars now. 1.4 seconds is now the gap to leader. Leban's holding on as well, not dropping off the back of them too quickly. Yeah, I'm hoping that gap closes up just so we can see all the fireworks at the end of the race.
100%. The thing is, though, is Luke Browning again, we say it time and time again, catching is one thing, passing is another. Absolutely. And it's not an easy track to pass. It's not the hardest track in the world to pass out, but it's not an easy one to make a move. It's certainly not on someone as fast as Granfors.
There's not many hard braking zones here at Silverstone. Obviously, with these cars having so much downforce and such grip, basically there's only 2 main braking points, and that I would say, or 2 heavy braking points, and that was into the village section we're coming into now in the loop, and then obviously Vale, which we've just gone through. Oh, that's side by side. Is that Kian Shields there, side by side?
Certainly is.
Yeah, that is with Jilks. Can he get the slipstream through the new section here, Abbey and Farm? It's very, very fast through here. You'll still even get a bit of front end push in the aero there, but you can hold on. And they get a bit too far back, I reckon, to do on the brakes here. But the circuit's so wide here. You can either go in and wide and tight, and then you can send it up the inside here on the left, or if they defend into the left of the loop here, you can then go wide and try and get the cut back to then obviously set yourself up for the pass into Brooklands. There's so many different options here. You can set your drivers up in front to get a pass done. As you said, not easy, but is definitely possible. Potentially a bit easier than we were at Oulton Park, which is a very narrow circuit.
Absolutely. I mean, to be fair, like when we think of this group, yes, of course, the reverse grid did kind of make a difference, but this is a quality group. Yes, it's at the back of the grid. David Morales with that absolutely ridiculous move at Oulton Park, going around the outside of Nick Jilks into the island bend. Great group. Of course, you've got Shields, Jilks, Grundvig, a race winner, and Bryce Aaron in there. Either way, back up towards the front. Granfors still leading 1.4 seconds, and another very quick lap from Luke Browning. He is on form right now. I just don't think there's enough time left.
Yeah, it looks like they've just peaked. They've got the best out of the tyres now, because Browning, the times aren't quite the fastest now, so no one was setting the last lap. The gap's staying pretty much the same, so they're literally trading lap times, almost identical that last lap, those 2 lap times. And again, Leban, not far off. I think he's only sort of dropped about sort of 6 or 7 tenths in the last 5 laps or so to the front 2. So that elite car working well for him. You can see how hard they're pushing, using all of the road there. And again, it's a perfect day for racing. Sun's out, nice cool air, but not
too
cold.
Hot. Yeah,
it's a lovely day, and so the cars will be really, really working well today. It'll be an absolute pleasure to drive these round at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit today.
Obviously, you've got Tom Leben there as we focus on Joel Granfors, Luke Browning, and then Tom Leben, who's in that 3rd position. I only wanted to bring him up as well. Obviously, really great in qualifying, looking really strong this weekend. Elite Motorsports looking strong this weekend. They had a great round last time. For the most part, of course, one of their drivers, John Bennett, who's sat in 6th position, is the only driver that's had a top 10 in every single race, and will look to continue that trend. Shows his consistency is, as he has dropped off the back of his teammate James Headley towards the clutches of Roberto Ferrer. Callum Voisin, though, in the background. Matthew Rees is going to try and go around the outside here, going down. Of course, Rees on the comeback charge outside of Brooklands. It's going to be a bit of a brave one. He's firing it through. He's all the way around the outside. He's got the inside for Luffield. Out a little bit too far wide, though. He'll hold that inside line. Surely, though, Callum Voisin's going to get the drive off the corner. Yeah, Callum Voisin trying to set up for the cutback. Rees has covered that off. That's an excellent move there. Again, great racing with Voisin giving him the space there, but it's not done yet. Voisin looking inside, looking outside, because we cut to the drivers. He's going to go around the outside of Cops. That'll be an absolutely brave move, or is he going to try and cut back? Again, just that front aero push, meaning the cutback's quite difficult. Again, both running wide there. He'll probably be looking for a move into Stowe now. Or is he going to go earlier? No, just feinting in the mirrors, maybe trying to put Rees off. Again, we're going to be completely flat out through Stowe, hopefully in the race, I would imagine, and then trying to get in the slipstream here. Voisin looks like he's just dropped off through the middle of the Maggots and Beckett section, so that might be that move done, Rees. An excellent move there, Rees. He's shown he's got good racecraft this year. Yeah, no, obviously we know the quality of Matthew Rees. Has won countless events in open wheelers, both slicks and wings, and more like Formula Ford style stuff. Very, very high on the talent list. Of course, having a couple of issues earlier on in this event, which has thrown him down the order. Now he's got to show his racecraft, which I think is a good skill to at least see. You know, sometimes you see these drivers and they qualify on pole and then they run away from everyone. And it's kind of like, yep, cool. They're good at leading, but what happens when something goes wrong? That's where you really see what a good driver these are. Yeah, exactly. So obviously the lap times is one thing, and being able to smash out lap after lap after lap on your own is very important skill to have. But obviously being able to use the reverse grids as an opportunity for the drivers at the front to practice their racing, but also, as we've seen with Mikael Grundvig, he can lead from the front, but he can maybe work on, in these race wins, a bit further back, trying to work his way through. That looks like the Hill Speed car side by side with one of the, is that David Morales? Certainly is. And we've got the 2 high-tech cars as well, Bryce Aaron and Kian Shields going at it. Yeah, of course, the number 4 being Bryce, Aaron, Kean Shields, and the number 6. This one, the 64, they're not teammates. Don't get too confused. Of course, the red and white at the front, the 64, that is a hill speed of Nick Gilks. We'll see his sister out in action in the GB4 Championship. Of course, the race winner over there is David Morales, the podium sitter from the previous round of the season after a great drive, making a great move on the car that is sat directly ahead. I think he might want to double that one up.
Yeah, again, those 2 high-tech cars in front fighting it out will obviously pull them back towards that that hill speed car, and obviously Gilks will be looking to make some final moves in the last 2 laps of the race now. Again, that gap just slightly coming down by the looks of it, ever so slightly. Again, they're trading last lap from Granfus, a 1:53.871. Last lap from Browning, a 1:53.859. Almost identical, less than 100's the difference. So you spot something there?
No, I was going to say, I don't know about you, but it just kind of feels, it felt there on the Hangar Straight that he was closer than the 1 point, because obviously you get the time gap over the line.
It does.
It does feel, it feels like it's around a second.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Granfus made a small mistake through that Maggotts and Beckett section. Easily done with the weight transfer right to left to right. If you get a snap of oversteer, obviously it's all about carrying the speed. You are right. That definitely looks closer. Will be confirmed obviously at the end of the lap. But yeah, obviously keeping those laps and not making any mistakes is very important here. And obviously seeing that car on your mirrors, we know Luke Browning how dominant he was in the first 2 races at Oulton Park. Granfus will be thinking, right, I need to keep this gap, and obviously that pressure that Luke can continue to apply will potentially force an error, which is what he'll be looking for.
Yeah, around about 7.5 kilometres from this point left in the race. Of course, we're on the penultimate lap at the moment. We'll begin in the final round. That is no way is that 1.3 seconds. That is well under a second right now. And of course, there is a battle for 4th position as well. That's what we're focusing on now. The 42, that bright blue car. That is Max Esterson. He's got James Headley to worry about. He's looking to the inside of Brooklands. Didn't fancy it because that would have been a little bit too far back into a corner, which you've said before. It's not heavy on the brakes. You're kind of balancing your way through it.
Exactly. You'd think it's a big stop there considering you're doing over 140 miles an hour into that corner, but it's such a long corner. We've got so much grip in these cars. You're just rubbing that brake, using all the road, both drivers.
Goodness.
The wheels literally up against the grass there from Luke Browning, showing how hard he's pushing, using every inch of track available. Touch that grass and you are round. That is the fine margins they are working with.
That's why these are the very best. I mean, they're searching for a career much further down the line in motorsporters. It is under 1 second between Granfus and Browning as we begin the final lap of the race. The battle for 4th position. Tom Leben in 3rd is sat way by himself. 4th, of course, Esterson. He's got Headley to worry about, and there might be a move coming down into Stowe corner because it looks like it's a good exit from Headley. I just don't think it's good enough.
Breaking the toe. Yeah, looking to break the toe. That's a little, I don't know, it's the grey area in the rules whether you're allowed to do that or not, but he's not moving too aggressive, so I think he'd be okay with that. But he'd be better off just concentrating and making sure he gets good exits for the rest of the lap, because that will be the main point. There's definitely less than a second now. Browning is now closing even more, using that slip. Oh, he's wide! Oh, that'll be, I think that mistake has probably cost him the chance to have a look into the new village and the loop section. See that kick of oversteer there. It's slightly off camera, the track's falling away from you, easily done.
Yeah, he's now really got to weigh up one final overtaking opportunity. I just think he's going to be too far back to even do it into Brooklands. You can kind of do it, but you've got to get this section perfect, and I just think he's kind of overdriving it at the moment.
Just ever so slightly overdriving, easily done, because he can see the lead of the race is right there, and again, he's closed up a little bit. Maybe that high-tech car just preserving its tyres ever so slightly more, or the 4Tech might have gambled on obviously thinking that Granfus can get away from pole and try and build a gap early. Maybe they front-loaded their setup so it's quicker at the start of the race, but definitely Browning has been able to keep his pace up. That last lap, 53.7, pretty much not that far off his fastest lap, whereas the previous lap from Granfus was a 54.1. But here we go, the final corner. Nothing Luke Browning could do at this stage of the race. So a win for Joel Granfus in this race, and Luke Browning second.
Yeah, round 4 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC then. It's going to be a first race victory then for Joel Granfus. An absolutely fantastic drive, lights to flag, led every lap and well in control. He did have to worry a little bit about Luke Browning behind, but Browning, who will happily take a second position, I'm sure he would want to win, but still, let's see if Kean Shields can find a way past Nick Gilks, though, straight down the inside of David Morales, going down to the Brooklands. That was a superb move once again between those two.
That's an excellent move. Last minute, last lap, last sector dive. Again, right on the curb, using all the track. That's an excellent block pass there. Morales would be, disappointed potentially to lose that place in the last lap, but you got to give it to Nick Gilks there. That's a great move, and he'll be happy to move up one place on the final lap to get 17th.
Super stuff. Again, a lovely bit of racing between those two. We had it, of course, between Jared Boberski and Max Maserati in the GB4 Championship, where they just, every race, they just finished across the line, a 10th separate. kind of what we're seeing between those two. They're constantly battling. There is your race winner. What a drive it was. I mean, we know how strong Luke Browning is in this championship. Maybe he's not feeling quite as strong here at Silverstone as he was, obviously, at his home circuit in Oulton Park. But that is a very impressive drive from the Swede.
Of course, yeah, very impressive drive, showing that he could obviously take that pressure and absorb that pressure that Luke Browning was putting on him. Luke Browning did seem to have a slightly faster race car through the majority of the race, obviously just slightly closing that gap during the middle stage of the race, and if it wasn't for that small mistake through club corner, potentially there could have been a look on the last sector, but no, excellent race, and hopefully that's just the start of things to come.
Wow, again, what another fantastic race. We'll take a look at the results then. It's Joel Granfors obviously taking that victory by less than a second over Luke Browning, so it'll be the closest winning margin that we've had in the 2022 GB3 Championship. Tom Leben, the first podium for Elite Motorsports, will finish in third position with Max Esterson, his best result in the championship, a great result as well for the Douglas Motorsports team. And then it's the two other Elite Motorsports. They've got 3 cars inside the top 10. Headley ahead of Bennett, continuing his top 10 run, the only driver to have 4 consecutive top 10 finishes in the GB3 Championship in 2022. Farrier in 7th position with Oxley, Cresswell and Callum Voisin rounding out your top 10. On the next side, of course, we've got Alex Connor in 11th spot in the first position outside of the top 10 with Matthew Rees. Obviously a little bit disappointed, dropped down now into 12th place. Then Zach Taylor, Tommy Smith and Mikael Grundvig in 15th. I'm sure he'll be disappointed with 15th after that race win last time out at Oulton Park. Then it's Shields, Gilks, Morales, Bryce Aaron, and then of course the retirement, sad for Javier Segura.
Yeah, Javier Segura again, another retirement for race. Won't be disappointed with that. We'll try and find out what happened to him before the next race, so we can bring that information to you. But it'll be disappointing for him. It's also, I must say, it's good to see the Arden cars a bit higher up this weekend. I think they struggled a little bit at Oulton Park. Maybe they didn't quite have the setup right. But here we go. Some great sportsmanship between the two rivals there. Granfors winning the race, Luke Browning in second. Again, Luke Browning will be happy with that. He would like to win the race, of course, but second place is another podium. Another, strong result. Some points haul. Granfors obviously happy to get his race win after obviously a bit of an issue at Oulton Park, getting that penalty, so he couldn't start where he should have, or maybe he should have done. So yeah, he'll be happy with that. And then Leben, I think Elite will be really happy with their results today as well, with a third, a fifth, and a sixth, wasn't it? So they'll be very happy with that. You can see team manager hugging Joel there, very happy with that.
I don't blame him. I mean, again, an absolutely brilliant drive. I think, like I say, Luke Brown, you can see him over there on the right hand side. He's plenty happy enough, but we'll go down to John to catch up with him.
Well, here we go. You can see Richard Dutton, the team director, team principal for Fortec, congratulating Joel Granfors there, leading from pole position all the way through the race. A bit of a challenge there from Luke Browning, which we'll talk to him in just a second about. Also, well, here we go. Joel leading there from pole position and leading for the whole race, but Luke really pushed you there.
Yeah, I got closer towards the end. In the beginning, I just held that 2 seconds lap. I think I had was few places where just counting, how close he was, and then towards the end started catching up a bit, but then it was too late. So yeah,
that's good. So we've had you on the podium before, but this is your first race win, and you're also on P1 for the second race tomorrow. So you must be fairly confident you can get back-to-back wins here at Silverstone.
Well, yeah, hopefully we can do the same tomorrow. Same thing, put away in the beginning, and then just keep that gap. So yeah. Lovely
stuff. Well, I saw you being congratulated there by Richard and Ollie from Fortec. I'll let you congratulate the rest of your team, and we'll move on to Luke Browning, the championship leader, who was pushing Joel there very nicely. I'm just saying there, Luke, you were pushing Joel there very, very nicely after getting that place off the line.
Yeah, a proper step forward there for us. That was nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, that was exactly the step we wanted to take. So, I'm happy with the points we got, and I think nice clean racing from everyone, and yeah, big congrats to these guys. They did a brilliant job in qualifying. A real step up a step ahead for them guys in quali, and yeah, but it looks like we've done a few tweaks. I've sorted out my driving a little bit, and we're right back on pace again. So happy days.
Still great for you in terms of the championship as well, and you'll be ready to go again tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, starting from the same place tomorrow, and then we've obviously got the reverse good race to make up a few positions as well. It's been really interesting this weekend with the amount of different philosophies and setups that everyone's been on. So yeah, it'll be interesting going into the next few races.
Lovely stuff, Luke Browning with High Tech. Congratulations, P2 there. Let's find Tom Leben. Is Tom Leben still around? Tom Leben he's run away. Tom Leben being coned off in his own little area here, coming third there with Elite Motorsports. You must be pretty pleased with that, although I imagine you would have preferred to have kept that place.
Yeah, it was a good result, getting the first podium of the year and my second one in the championship. Yeah, good result. Yeah, good for the championship, I think.
And it must give you some confidence going into the first race of the day tomorrow.
Yeah, it's definitely given us some confidence. A good result, and The front two we lost touch of a bit, but the pace is there, I think. Yeah.
Okay, excellent stuff. P3 for Tom Levin there with Elite Motorsports. We're going to hand back over to Lewis McGlade, your commentator now, for the full classification from the 4th race here in the GB3 Championship, the first race at Silverstone.
Well, great again to hear from our drivers. I mean, you must know what it's like having a post-race interview, being like, all right, so you've done this, now have a microphone in your face. It must be a bit of an experience. We'll take a look once again. Joel Granfor's, Luke Browning and Tom Levin, the top 3. We'll go again through the standings as Etterson, Headley, Bennett, Farrier, and then Oxley, Cresswell and Voisin, your top 10. And a great top 10 it was, a great victory from Granfor's. Of course, the championship lead will still be held by Luke Browning, and rightfully so. 2 dominant victories last time and then a 2nd place to add. That retirement will be a bit of a blemish on his record.
Yeah, he'll hope that retirement is hopefully the only DNF of the season, because obviously those non-scores are what will hurt a championship campaign. Again, Luke showing that he's got some great pace. He mentioned there that he's seen that some of the teams have done different things with the setup. So some maybe go low downforce, some have gone high downforce, and he thinks that might make the racing interesting in the reverse grid. Again, not to be sniffed at. Joel Granfor's excellent pace in that last one. You know, he got away from the front, as he said. Race went to plan, so great job from him.
I mean, you've got to say, when it comes to overtaking, you obviously want a lower downforce car. You want a car that's a bit faster in a straight line, but those kind of scrub the tyres a little bit more. That's the kind of problem. As much as we don't have to think too much of tyres in this, but it is still a factor that we have to worry about as we can see the rest of our finishes. Yeah,
it's a bit of give and take, really. Obviously, if you've got those low downforce setting on, so you've got the skinny wings, flat front wing, and a flat rear wing, you cut through the air, so you're fast on the straights. But obviously, then you're not quite as much speed on the high speed corners, maybe. So it's a bit of a give and take, and some teams will be using the fact they've got 2 or 3 drivers to try and find out what their optimum setup is. I believe we've got some potentially the podium coming up here.
Yeah, well, we'll see them come out onto the podium, of course, one by one. I mean, it's always nice, as much as we have our little podium that we take around and stuff. It's always nice to stand on a proper big boy podium.
Yeah, it looks like, is it the same podium that they do for the British Grand Prix? If it is, that's obviously excellent. As we can see, 3rd place Tom Levin, be very happy with that. Again, a podium for that Elite Motorsport car, and then obviously 2nd place Luke Browning. He'll be very happy with that. It's more points for the championship, and then the winner Joel Granfors.
So we're not going to get any champagne sprays.
I would imagine they'll probably want to keep their suits nice and clean. That'll be one way to annoy each other, is cover themselves in champagne.
Yeah, I mean, again, incredible drive there from Granfor's. Really very impressive. Again, not to the dominant level that we saw from Luke Browning back in Oulton Park, but either way, they'll receive their trophies and they will cherish them greatly. Of course, for Joel Granfor's, whose first season in the championship, to take that victory. His first one, his first bit of proper silverware. Of course, had a podium last time out, but this is way more.
Yeah, he'll hopefully feel like he's got the taste for it now. It'll make him and spur him on even further for the next race tomorrow morning. You can see the top 3 there, very happy with their race. It seems like they've got some good camaraderie between the drivers as well, congratulating each other after the race there. And obviously Luke Browning got congratulated by the Fortec team there, who he raced for in British Formula 4, I think the year before, or 2 years ago, where he was champion previously.
Well, we will hand back then to Mr. John Jackson, as we'll go down pit lane and see what some of the other drivers think.
Well, we're just walking back to the garages here at Silverstone now. You might have seen the coverage at Oulton Park. It was nice and close. Silverstone has to do a bit of a run, so a little bit out of breath, but luckily we'll chat to some of the drivers. We'll let them do the hard work here. Let's see who we can find. Everything very spread out, as you might see, so you're going to have to come for a little walk with me. We'll see which drivers we can find. A lot of drivers, if they've not had a good day, they will run away into their garages, probably not allowed to go in and find them. Sometimes people will drag them out for me. Let's have a look here. We've got Bryce Aaron. We'll have a chat with Bryce Aaron in a second. Then we just have a look on my special for, wow, Bryce Aaron actually finished last in the end, so maybe we'll leave Bryce for now. He may not want to talk to us. This is probably the longest walk we're going to do. Don't forget, there is GB4 coverage coming up around about 20 to 5. So if you want to see more racing with the GB4 Championship, it's the 7th round of that championship in particular. Oh, don't think there's any drivers here. Well, we'll keep looking, it's fine. Let's have a look. Is Nick Jilks around? No. Have we got Nick Jilks anywhere? Can you go? Here we go. There's a man eating what looks like a very delicious pastry. He's one of the tech guys here at Hillspeed. He's going to go and get Nick Jilks. I'm just looking at my Classification here, 17th. Not so great for Nick Jokes. He won't be too happy with that, but we'll see what he has to say in just a second. As you can see here, the cars come back fairly quickly and the drivers do tend to toddle off. So here we go. Here he is. Nick, you're live on our TV coverage. Was it 17th in the end?
Something like that. I'm not sure on the position, but it was a good battle between 4 of us. It was close. Yeah, it was good fun.
And how would you rate your first experience of racing here at Silverstone?
It's a great track. It's really, really nice. It's good places to overtake, good just flowing sections, honestly. You can see why F1 come here.
And you must have learned something from that first race here at Silverstone for the first race tomorrow, the second round here.
Yeah, we were just trying a few things because obviously qualifying I was a bit further back than any driver would hope, and it felt actually really good. It was just because we were all in a battle, you don't really get to try anything really special with the setup, it's just from your own perspective. But it was good because learning slicks and wings, what it's like to follow, was just all around a great experience.
Yeah, of course. Quick word on Megan, your sister who's racing in the GB4 for the same team. That kicks off, our live coverage kicks off just before 5 o'clock, 20 to 5, there or thereabouts. It's good to see her racing again this weekend.
Yeah, she's done a fantastic job throughout the beginning of the season, and she did well in qualifying today. Didn't quite go as well as she'd hoped, but no doubt she's good enough to be right at the front this weekend because she's showed some phenomenal pace. So.
Absolutely, and it's nice to see that since we talked about donuts at Oulton Park, I've seen that Megan has been brought donuts by a man called Barry, who very much enjoyed your chat. But Nick, congratulations on finishing the race, learning things and getting somewhere there, and I'm sure tomorrow's race you'll get higher up there.
Thank you.
All right, thanks Nick. Nick Jokes there with Hill Speed Racing, the Canadian. Now let's see who we can find. Let's see if anyone's actually come back. We've got 2 split areas here, so you've got this strip you can see here, and then some of the other garages are further back across the way. I don't really want to take you that way because, you know, we'd have to cross a road, and I don't know if I want to do that on live TV. Let's see if we can find anyone here from Elite. Always a tricky thing to do. Okay, Elite Motorsports, the cars are not even there. We can keep going here. Yeah, they're all in scrutineering. Here we go. Ollie Dutton live on the TV coverage. Have you got a moment?
Okay, yeah.
You must be very happy for Joel.
Yeah, ecstatic for him, you know, it's his first pole and then we converted it with a strong performance, so it was good to see. He deserved it, so we're happy for the team and we'll see how we get on in the next race.
I was going to say, it's one of the busiest teams here with the GB3 and the GB4 cars. How do you think the GB4 race is going to go, the first race this afternoon? Yeah. Nicholas Taylor looking pretty good, not on pole today, but on pole tomorrow morning. Yeah,
we're looking good. I think the lap in qualifying, we made a couple of mistakes, so we're confident with the race pace. So from third, he can make a good start. We've been working his start, so get off the line would be great, but the track's wide, we can get some good overtaking here, and we're confident, especially with Elias as well, and Jess has been moving forward and getting a lot more confident as well, so looking forward to it.
Excellent stuff. Nick did tell me he's burnt out a clutch, so there may be Fortec having to buy a few more clutches or something like that, but there we go. Ollie, I'll let you carry on on your way. As I say here, a very long walk from everywhere you need to go, and obviously Ollie needs to get back to the GB4 cars, which are even further away, so it's a little bit stressful for the team bosses, so we'll let him go. Let's see who else we can find. You know what, actually, I'm just going to remind you that the GB4 Championship, it's the first race is at 5 p.m. this evening. We're going to start our coverage at 20 to 5, exactly where you're watching right now. You can obviously watch back any of the race that you've missed. If you've just joined us now, you can go back and watch this straight away after. But in the meantime, if you want to check out anything more about today's race or any of the races so far in the Championship, just look at the GB3 website. And we'll see you back at 20 to 5 here on the live stream for the first race of the weekend at Silverstone in the GB4 Championship.